No. So my view is that AI needs to pervade everything. It's not about fintech. It's not about healthcare. I think the UK economy, we're behind the curve, and there's a huge opportunity to get ahead of the curve. You see nation states like Saudi Arabia, betting the farm on this. So we need to make sure that all of our businesses in the whole country understand this technology. And you were saying in the piece earlier about the competitive race, because people understand that winner takes all. This is not cloud. This is not digital transformation. You can't wait 5 years and come back to it. When this ship leaves the harbour, it's permanent. We need to make sure that the UK is on it.
What could the UK government do then? Because there is one argument where you don't want to crowd out business, crowd out some of the VCs, crowd out the startups by getting too involved as a government at this point. But we are seeing that model adopted elsewhere. I mean, France is getting more involved in terms of investment. So what should the UK government do to strike the right balance?
I mean, I was on the board of British Business Bank during COVID when we put 90 billion into the UK economy. And I think it's important. I think what we need to have is a sovereign wealth fund, something that is there fighting the corner for the UK to make sure that the businesses get the investment that they need. It's been quite difficult, leaving the EU to try and sort of replicate that funding. And we need to really think about this because as I will keep saying, this is a fundamental change. In an exponential world, it's a bad plan to be left behind. And we need to make sure the money's there to back our startups. This country's great at innovation. We always have been. We also need to try and make sure that a lot of our success stories aren't acquired and sort of move overseas.
Piers, you mentioned that this is not cloud. Can I argue that it is? Having just seen some of the models rolled out by the likes of Microsoft, models as a service, very similar to SaaS, services as a service. What you've got here, effectively, these types of AI models will run out in very much like a cloud type of infrastructure system, where the upside will be from startups and companies using that infrastructure. So does the UK really need to build it when they could really play around on all the services that they could provide around AI?
I mean, it's my point is, yeah, you've got to use cloud infrastructure because of the scale of it. It's sort of hyperscale infrastructure. My point is that cloud transition, digital transformation. I do keynotes about cloud, about transitioning to the cloud now that I was giving 10 years ago. And the point with AI is that this exponential change, this way in which it's going to change our economy, our society forever, means that as that change begins to happen, being left behind makes catching up very, very difficult. You see McKinsey research saying that, in total shareholder returns, the leaders are already 3 to 6x ahead of the kind of AI laggards.
Piers, you made some terrific points, but I'm fascinated about the role of government as well. When Silicon Valley put its money where its mouth was and developed these technologies, I think the role of government was very much secondary. It was about obviously just giving the right rule of law, the right kind of conditions for companies to thrive. But what actually can government do? We don't really want government's fingerprints all over the innovation, do we?
No, you don't. But and I've seen this at the level of British Business Bank, when I was on the board there, but the government has a huge role to play. And in my view is that the UK is behind the curve. We're in recession. It might be short-lived. We'll probably come out of that pretty quickly. But this is a systemic change to everything we do. And the government, and I've seen this happen, you've seen it happen during COVID, for example, the government can unlock capital, innovation in ways that no private sector venture capital fund is ever going to. That's not always the sole answer. We've got to make sure the money is going into the right place. This is moving very, very quickly, and there's going to be a few omelets going to have to be made before an egg broken before we find out where the real value is. But it's important that this happens quickly. That's the key to this.
Yeah. Okay.
AI safety is great in government. We need those four corners of the box to work within, but the capital is what's required.